Join me if you want, Mr. Bruce. He's not going to want. He's done, dude. That guy's done. So I'm just making sure we got everything set up right. We had a show yesterday. It went super long. And, we got to just do like a search for the Chess Dojo. I got to change my, we got some minor technological grief. The restream thing isn't working. Now it's working. Hopefully, so I can change the El Titulos. Got to change the titles. So, update titles. We're going to call this the ChessDojo Training Program. ChessDojo Training Program. This show shouldn't last forever, but it will be a good show. And also, we have a game that was submitted for Sensei review. It wasn't part of the grad show. We're going to check that out too. So I think we're all set. And these are not the graduates we're looking for. We're looking about last week. And we did all of these except this guy, PLNR. He didn't know how to do the game annotations correctly. So I skipped him. But he understood. And now we're going to take a look at one of his games. And he's got this one game here. Yeah, so before he had done it in the sidebar. In any case, this is the very beginning of the dojo. He's in the 0-2. Let's go back to this. Ratings. Yeah, so he is in the 300 to 400 cohort, but when he submitted the game, that's right, he was in the 0 to 300 cohort. So first thing, we're going to take a look at his clock. And I think I noted this yesterday. I took a look at his clock, but I didn't go into it because the notes were funny. But as you can see, the man, getting it right with the time, arguably using too much time. And at this level, in my experience of the graduate show, it's a good sign, even if he ended up losing this bad boy on time. Okay, here we go. So, fine, 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 fine. You're doing fine. Poor, because he's developing your knight, so you're doing all right. And you took with the bishop. I would have preferred taking with the king, just because we're in an endgame and your bishop on b5 is developed, but you're doing fine. 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 Now notice, I'm not going super deep in these moves, and the reason is, what's most important for me here is that you do three things. Use your time, develop, and not hang stuff. And so far, you are playing way beyond your level in terms of those three things. Okay? So here we go. Also, you're playing a higher rated opponent. Good move. And this is the first move which is controversial, knight e5. You write, blunder here, very disappointing, was thinking about threatening knight d7, forking the two rooks, completely missed both that their knight on f6 is protecting it, and that now I'm leaving my d4 pawn hanging. Now, look, don't feel too bad, because part of the path, in fact, the main part of the path from you graduating into the next several cohorts is going to be square awareness and not hanging stuff like the pawn on d4. You're also potentially hanging this one. So knight e5 doesn't look right from a variety of perspectives. Now, when you're annotating, it's very important to try to say what you think you should have done. So, for example, from my sense of things, c3 is a good move. Takes care of both pawns and shuts this knight down. You know, just controls all of those knight squares that he might be hopping to, right? Okay, now at this level, usually this isn't the end of the game. It is a bummer, though, that we're getting hit on the c2 pawn. But maybe we get a first break because he doesn't take it. You go back. And now you get a break. You got a big break here. He did not take the extra free pawn. Bishop e4. Okay, now you take it. And that's a blunder. Rook takes e5. So one of the important things I want you to realize is, not only do we want you not to hang your pieces, but once you analyze your games, you'll start realizing that All of the players at this level are going to hang something at some point during the game, and it's your job just to find it. So here you did think for 43 seconds, and you missed bishop h7. And then discovery upon the rook, right? Discovery on the rook. Okay. So bishop d3, rook E. Now you're down a pawn. Okay, fine, no trade. Good move. I like that. I like g3. In fact, of all the moves you've played, I'm most pumped about that one. Very nice. Just playing preventative chess, cutting the knight off. Maybe. And this is poor because he could just body slam you with c6, but he doesn't see it. And you try to give him a whack. And unfortunately now all of your pawns are going to be weak now, right? So rook e3, and now you're in big trouble. g4, snip, we're in big trouble. Rook f1, he goes check to the miserable king. Ooh, blunder. And then bam, you got him. Yeah, buddy. Yeah, buddy. Okay, so now phase 2, you need to be able to shut him out. Now, one thing I can see from the time graph is that you still have plenty of time. Now, by the way, usually I go into what's called game review mode, and I'll probably do that with some of the next coming up ones. But you can see now with this wide view that I adopted just because our UI is a little new, you are able to see most everything here, and especially though with the time. So at this stage of the game, we should have zero trouble finishing him off. Now, when I say zero trouble, I mean, like, of course, maybe it's not easy for you. That's okay. It's going to take some practice, though, is what I'm saying, in learning how to beat somebody in a position like this. Good move. I like rook e1, and then boom, it's a fail. Oh, man. In principle, I like it. In principle, I like it. Oh, no. Okay, now here's a very important moment. Obviously, things have gone poor for us, and we can be frustrated here. But bishop a4 was definitely our best chance. And here we're saying, I'm going to try to trap your knight on the next move, right? But instead, you played this, and that just lets him take all your stuff. And another fork. Oh, man. Okay, PL, a couple things. I think it's great that you were able to develop your pieces nicely, and the very first phase of the game was very well played. And then I want you to see is that this hanging of stuff, right? Your opponent hung stuff too, is what is going to decide the game at this level. All the other stuff, you know, openings, blah, 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 not important. It's the hanging of stuff that's going to decide. You've already got your time management down well. You got your development down well. So it's just one thing. I highly recommend like stuff like the maiden ones, and then maybe later the maiden twos, to get your development of like seeing which squares defend which. Okay, let me just write a chat here. Could do be tight. All right, so Zupa. Knights are sneaky, dishonorable pieces, Hubert says. That's true. They're very sneaky, dishonorable pieces. Very sneaky and dishonorable. Yeah, in Gukesh Long Castle today, it is rough. It is rough for Gukesh. Okay, so that was PL. I missed his game yesterday, and now we're going to go back to the huge list. And, oh, I wrote it down somewhere. Of where? I wrote it down of who was next. Actually, I'll just try to remember. I know we haven't done Andrew yet. I know we did a Represso, and I think we're up to James Wong here. I think. Let's read what James says. James says he loves the dojo. Ah, James, thank you very much. So you can see those are the players we got left. Maybe we already did James. I'll be able to tell fairly quickly if I have. So it was a long day yesterday. So James, you can see, joined us fairly recently, and he's been busy. He's been busy, and he's been doing really well. Let's see, we've got clubs. Okay, he's in Austin over there with Jack Stenglein and Knows All, those guys. Then we got some games. Let's see, James. Okay, here we go. 9-4. Boom. This looks like a OTB game. Uh-oh. Not annotated. Let's just see if we got any annotated games. In general, I'm only going to do recent games, and I'm only going to do annotated games. Okay. So, James, you just joined the dojo. I get it. It might be hard. Probably the first time you do an annotation will be a difficult thing. But welcome. Glad you see you're already pretty active here. And hopefully we'll see you soon at the next graduation. Yeah. Now, also just note, James, you're not technically in the 1400. You're normalized here to 1277. Okay, let's go to NC. Me and NC go way back. He's been doing all kinds of graduations. He's 1472. I remember him just, I guess, from last time. And he's been doing some tactics and some opening work. Might not have a game. Joined fairly recently. We got some clubs. Oh, he's in the French one. Yeah. The weekly calculation. Great. Activity, not games. Excuse me. Games. Nothing. So NC, also I assume, when you're new, getting that first annotated game in, I would say that's one of the most difficult steps in the dojo. Not difficult in terms of like, oh, it's really hard to do. But it is psychologically difficult to look at your own games, especially if you're a little higher rated. It's harder because you're like, no, I've invested my soul in this game and I have to look at how the mistakes I'm making. Not pleasant for a peasant. Okay, now we got P. Hibbitts. P. Hibbitts says, I debated on whether or not to graduate. I've gotten on a hot streak and won a few classical games in a row on Lead Chess in the 45-45 League and Lead Chess ladders. I may not be totally ready to move on, but will still finish the activities at the 1400 level. If I can't handle the new cohort, I'll move back down. Okay, we're going to check out your game with Petite Vue. Again, one of the things is like you move up, as long as your rating's kind of stable, you should just say that's where I'm at. Right? That's where I'm at. If your rating goes down, you can demote yourself. All right, here we go. P. Hibbitts graduated a number of times. And here he is, 1415. And look at this. Oh, buddy, look at that. Nice, beautiful. Can we get an exclam? Yeah, so you can see joined at the beginning of this year, and maybe it looks like a New Year's resolution, right? Dude's just been on fire this entire time, graduated 3 times, and, he's working for each graduation. So this is a cool dojo story. Okay, using the lead chess, at some point, maybe he's going to start doing some OTB. We'll look at the clubs, loads of clubs. Southwest Virginia, okay. And I'm going to say thank you, P. Hibbitts, for creating the Southwest Virginia dojo. Dude, Southwest Virginia, that is like some country out there. There's some country. I'm trying to remember the name of the town that I played the U.S. Oh, it's like one of the high school championships, 1987 out there. I feel like it starts with a P, but I can't remember. It's out there in the corner, though, deep in the corner of Virginia. Okay, here we go. Games from Mr. Hibbitts. All right, here we go. Oh, he wants Petit Vu. Petit Vu. There you can see the time graph. And he did okay. He did okay. Something I want people to see if they're watching the show is as we move up the ladder, we get better and better time management. So it really is a rating, And here P. Hibbitts is doing really well with the rating in this game, as does his opponent. Okay, good. Let's go click game review. Pa-bam. So, E4. Weird, but okay. Interesting. Now, my sense of this is that white is doing pretty good, and that the A6 is probably not so. Oh, cry. Ooh, buddy. Sorry about that. Good thing I caught it. There's been shows in the past where I didn't catch it. And that was obviously a bad thing. Okay. So let's just show the opening. And as I was saying, I wasn't clear. It's not clear to me that a6 is that helpful. All right, here we go. e6, bishop e3, knight d7. And now white thinks forever and plays a4. As if he's afraid, I guess, of b5. Other moves would be bishop e2. You write that. And I think c4 might also be a hassle in the castle. Right? Okay, so a4, b6. Now, it makes me nervous, the lack of kingside development. Here he's got a c4. Now, definitely, if he's going to play c4, then a4 doesn't make any sense. And now he goes crazy with a5. Thinking 10 minutes on this move. And he says, this is the point that I left my opening knowledge. No, you left your opening knowledge way long ago. Come on. Come on. Yeah, no, opening knowledge went bye-bye a long time ago. Now, this a5 move, I don't really like it. I don't understand it. I want him to develop his pieces, is what I want him to do. So that has to be good because he can't take back with a knight. That has to be good. Good. You're doing great. Now he takes, and you decide on knight c5. I think knight c5 has to be a good move. Good move. Why not? Yeah. So queen c2, simple chess. F1, rook c8, simple chess. Bishop f1. It's takes. Queen b6, good moves. You're playing great chess. Snip. Yeah, why not? Okay, so great and interesting position. We would definitely say that you are now significantly better. My intuition, well, is for you to work the dark squares. And there's a variety of moves you can do. This move, well, I got questions. Queen b7. If he just defends it, I'm not really sure what queen b7 does. Okay, that's my first kind of thing. But then it gets weirder because dude plays b4, and maybe this is a genius, I guess it's a genius level move. I mean, maybe that's a real genius. Look at this move. We've got to give it an exclam. Because if he can play it, he should. And is he trapping our queen? It kind of looks like he is. Dang. Oh, he laid a bomb on you there with b4. So if that's true, then we don't want to play queen b7, right? And that's too much. Well, give it a try, Craig. Give it a try. So here we go. Queen b7, b4 here. And now in his next move, he's going to give you the f-pawn. If he gives you the f-pawn, then we have to say that b4 was not as clever as it seemed. Yeah. Let's just see if he had something better. Maybe it's difficult. Okay, so what we should say is queen b7, I don't know, because he should probably play something like rook e3 and just defend it. Bishop e2, just defend it, and then it's unclear what our move did. But then this was a mistake. It looks nice. It's a nice trap. But now he's got two coconuts hanging. Okay, what should he do? He should protect his pawn. Just protect it like this, buddy. And then on queen b4, you take this one and you're kind of alive. Yeah. Okay, so rook eb1, total fail because now the king is too exposed. You say check to the miserable king. That's probably okay. You say check to the miserable king. What are we doing? Here I realized that knight g4 was strong. White would go, okay, with queen f4. But why are we doing all this? So when we do the annotations, we want variations. We want to put some variations in there. Knight e5 looks like the move to me. We're just opening all the coconuts up. There's no queen e2, queen e2 because queen c3. We got things like queen g4, queen f4 on tap. For example, bishop g2, queen f4. Oh my gosh. Knight g4 in the mix. This guy's done. He's done, right? Okay, so check. It seems like too fast. I don't understand. Okay, so here we go. Knight e4. Knight g4 looks winning. So knight e4 was a mistake, right? Maybe h3 here. Good move. That isn't it. That isn't it. Good move. Rook d6. Knight f3. Look at this one. Bishop takes. Knight e3. Yeah, buddy. So, beautiful tactic at the end. I guess a very simple threat we have, probably other ones too, is just snip and snap. So, that was a great game, P. Hibbitts. That was a really good game. Now, I would say that if you know, as a coach, I'm concerned about your sensibilities. Let's call them sensibilities here. Where, let's say you go over here and you're just like, yeah, I don't need to develop the kingside pieces. I don't need that. The move c4 is going to be very unpleasant for you here. You know, it's funny, Galactus says probably an O'Kelly chessable course, and the first thing I read was a chessable curse. It might be a chessable curse. But besides some of the weird opening moves, I like a lot what you did. I thought this was cool. You know, I thought very nice, simple development here. Yeah. And we should probably analyze b4, but you're doing great here. Yeah, this is all beautiful. Beautiful chess. I like that too. Okay, so Mr. Hibbitts, I think we're going to see you again. If we go back, he's doing a lot of tactics, you can see. We'll go back, Rad Show. He's doing the tactics, you know, missing some of the other stuff, but definitely games analysis, tactics heavy. Beautiful. So I really like what P. Hibbitts is doing. Just a garbage chess player from Central Appalachia. I like that one. Okay, let's move on. And now we have Andrew Wiese, who I know, and I'll give a little shout out to the workshops we've been doing. I started these workshops where it's called a game annotation workshop, and I do one a week. And I don't know how it's ultimately going to be structured, but I'm kind of jumping around the different cohorts. And for Andrew, I think we did like a cohort of like 1,100 to 1,400 and then 1,200 to 1,500. So he did 2 of those. I try to move a cohort up every week. And so we went all the way to the top, and now we just finished the 0 to 300 cohort, and we're about to start the 400 to 700 cohort. So, or rather the 300 to 700 cohort. So we're moving on up. It's been Andrew, really cool guy. He's working on his chess. You know, like a lot of us, he's got a real job. I don't have a real job. Andrew has a real job, though. So there it is. Let's read what he says. This is quite soon after my last graduation. However, I'm hoping all the work I've done so far this year is paying off with a jump in my play. Apart from lots of work on tactics and analysis, the biggest factor has simply been concentration and structured, consistent thinking. Most losses have still been down to dropping focus and neglecting basic elements of play, looking for what's loose and what the threats are. I do also still struggle with middle game planning. One example I'd love you to review is the recent game against fellow dojo member Drugganaut. I played my first OTB tournament in 10 years a couple of weeks ago, and I'm excited to play more. Thank you, Andrew. Okay, great. We'll check out Drugganaut. And look at that heat map, my friend. Let's expand it. Bang! That's almost a full New Year's resolution. Andrew's been on it. You can see he's been on it. Okay, so really nice. And by the way, you know, if you're an adult player and you've been playing for a long time, and that to me means you're kind of settled in your rating. To then come to the dojo and graduate once, well, that's very difficult. But Andrew, dude, he's graduated twice. And, getting up here, he's 1900 Lee chess, 1400 normalized dojo style. That's a tough business. There's some competitive people up there. So, really nice. Let's see. I think he's up in Seattle there. Yep, the Seattle und aus Deutschland. Okay, so games. Now, am I going to remember the game? There it is, Druggernaut. Let's go check out his game with Druggernaut. First question, we got a time? We do. Holy moly, Druggernaut, what are you doing, buddy? All right, here's the thing. I think most dojo members know that I'm going to shame them if they've ever seen the graduate show. One of the nice things about doing the workshop is I'll really shame you, So I think one of the things that Andrew does obviously very well in this game is he's using his time, right? Very nice to see that. All right, so let's go game review. Pop, pop. So, fine, 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 fine. Beautiful. That's right. Let's read what he writes here. Providing retreat square, Rui Lopez, Jesse pointed out that A2, A4 was possible and desirable for several moves in a row. Oh, this is a different game we looked at. So I hope I learned and applied the lesson correctly. Good. Now, one of the things about A4 here, it's actually a very important prophylactic move. We do not want to allow black to achieve B5. That would give him some nice space on the queen side. Okay, there's a variety of ways black can play here. I personally don't like A5 that much, but I know that several strong players have actually played this way as well. I don't like it because it loses the plan of B5. Now you can't do it anymore. And this should give us a long-term grip on the position. I love H3. You're doing fine. H6, I think, is controversial. And now you stopped for 5 minutes and played bishop E3. Now, I think, as you wrote, you were intending bishop E3 when you played H3. But I think one of the challenges of the position is not really clear that we want to play bishop E3 because, yeah, it looks cool, but it's kind of in the way of stuff, right? Okay. So I think the key question for me would be, could we play knight H4? Now, by the way, maybe we can't, but we just want to look at it, okay? The question is, could black play knight E4? And we have to kind of do a little examination on this. Maybe he can, by the way. So, for example, knight E4, and then bishop H4. And this looks like we're doing great, but I think then he nails us with bishop F2, king F2, queen F6. Yeah, I think that's what we don't like. So one of the reasons, though, I want to play knight H4, F5 if I can. In this situation, it kind of looks difficult for me to play it, doesn't it? I would love to play knight H4. Another move that's very good for white, and I can say from experience here, is that it's good to say, you know what, this bishop will eventually get smacked. Like in that variation, you could imagine maybe he's going to get smacked with D5 or something. Well, that's why maybe it's good just to get him out of the way. Just to get him out of the way. Okay, bishop E3 does not harm anything. Let's just note that it gets in the way of the rook. King H7, kind of frisky. Queen E2, another huge thing. Now here, you're definitely thinking too long. You're thinking way too long here, Andrew, because both bishop E3 and queen E2 are essentially intuitive moves. You're not calculating anything, right? So you got to use the time when you're calculating. You spent 15 minutes altogether on those two moves. I don't like queen E2. I don't understand it, but I think you are still holding the advantage of your position. and now knight h4. So the natural move, of course, would be rook a d1. Let's see if he mentions that. He mentions bishop e3 or a2. Good, good. And then let's see if I just make the move. No, he doesn't mention that one. That's just as the kids say, that's a basic move. That's basic. Bishop b3, knight b6. Let's talk about this. Knight b6 is not a great move for the knight at all. It has zero future. And the first thing we should say is, I think you're winning a pawn if you want. You can go snippos, snappos, crappos, topos, and chopos. And there it is. There's a pawn. Right? So definitely it isn't knight b6 that you need to worry about. Right? Also, even if we didn't win the pawn, it's not clear what the knight is doing over there. Okay, so look what you did here. It's another 7 minutes that you was spent on this move. That's, again, what I'm going to call an intuitive decision. I would say it's wrong here for several reasons. The first would be, without even calculating any weird knight e4 stuff, is that if dude played g6, do we really have a way to not have our knight dominated? Remember, in the other position, he couldn't play g6 because the pawn was hanging. This one was hanging. But now it seems like he could play g6. Okay. The plan to get a knight to f5 allows black to trade off pieces, easing their cramp and worse. It leaves white with the inferior pieces and position. Further, I saw that it wasn't good, decided against it, worked through some other lines I didn't like, then played it anyway, before immediately remembering why I didn't like it. So one thing I will say that's very difficult about this position, kind of position, in this Philidor, is black is sitting. He's worse, but he's kind of sitting on you. And so it's tempting for the white player to lose his mind and be like, I got to do something, boss. I got to do something pronto. And you don't have to do anything. You play rook a1, like you said, bishop b3, bishop a2. All of these are great moves for you. Okay, so knight h4. Black has a couple good moves. Let's see what he does. I don't like that move, as I said. And then definitely not knight f5. You got to move the bishop. So you were looking at bishop b3, knight e4. And this was your concern. Okay. Let's get into a little bit. So, knight e4, bishop takes. Now, let's look at your queen h5 move too. You say that white doesn't have anything after bishop e7, but that's not true because you can take this guy and then he's toast. So on queen h5, he's actually under a little stress here. If he goes bishop d8, first of all, it's a little ugly. But also, do we have any special sauce after this move? Maybe we don't, but we could take a look, right? A simple way, I guess, could be pawn takes, bishop c5, I think, and then we're going to win the f7 pawn. Right? Rook's going to move, bishop f7. If g6, we probably have a bunch of nice things, but even just queen f3 will still win the f7 pawn. Right? So we also want to say this knight is a tourist. This knight is not well placed. And just bishop b3 is like, that should be your default move. Andrew Wiese is here. It says, Chess Gains talked on Perpetual Chess about white losing their mind against the Philidor. Actually, I have a funny story. So Chess Gains has been with the dojo forever. He might even be in the chat. He was in the chat earlier when we were doing summer cons. And I did before even the Dojo Training Program came around, I did like an endgame repertoire with d6, so d6 against everything. And he took to it, and now I think he has a course on it. So anyways, yeah, that's a cool thing. And it all happened, by the way, because my student, a different student, was very obsessed with a course that he got into by, what's the guy's name? The English guy. On the Black Lion. So the Black Lion is like the Philidor on cocaine with playing h6 and g5 very quickly. And so I was like trying to help him out. I was like, we got to stop doing this h6 g5 so fast, and let's just play principal chess. And so I kind of converted. I tamed his lion. I tamed his lion into a Philidor, and then I was looking. I was like, oh, this Philidor. This is good. This is a good opening, especially because people will lose their mind. Yeah, so this is really bad to lose our bishop. He snips this one immediately. He snips this one, and now we're worse. There's no question. Okay, Queen e2. Now, he plays e4. And he's moving super fast. I'm not convinced that e4 is the right move. For one, I'm not sure I like Queen e2 as a move because it's setting himself up on the e file. Yeah, just intuitively, I like this move a lot better. I might want to think about it a touch, but that's the move I like better. So we're going to play rook fe8 and bust you open on the e file. All right, so e4. Now, you immediately play f3. And I got questions about that. Because, right, if you can't crack the spot, you're just creating an outpost for him over there. All right, so just using our positional intuition, we should ask ourselves, well, we got to fix this knight. And also, it's not so easy for black to get at us. So, yeah, I would be interested maybe in knight b1 to d2. And at some point, maybe g4, at some point, this kind of stuff. And if we get to d2, then we maybe will play f3. But the point is to see that pawn on f5 is pretty nice. It's pretty nice. We don't need to do anything special with the pawn. We do have to fix our knight, though. Our knight is a terrible, terrible piece. And I guess you were kind of saying the same thing. But here, bishop b4, that's a natural move. And I'm not loving it anymore because I don't see how you prevent the big fatty knight from landing there. All right, so rook f1, you're tanking. Queen d7, poor. Why? Because the guy is obsessed about pawns. What should he do? He should put a rook on e8. You don't have to be a genius to know it. All right, so snip, and now he snips. And now we need to at least have a variation with the move pawn e5. We need to at least have a variation. Yeah. This is kind of frightening for the guy. Now, let's just be clear. If we take, we're strategically lost. The knight is too powerful, I think. My little boneheaded sense of it, right? But if we do it the other way with e5, we got a lot of interesting juice. An example might be knight e4 takes. Let's say he goes and takes our exchange. Well, he's got grief. He's got grief. He didn't want this. He didn't want this at all. I don't know. I don't know who's better. Okay, so fe4, I think you have one chance. You have one chance. Yeah, this queen d7, by the way, kind of helped you get that chance with e5. All right, now here you should consider your position desperate, and you should at least consider the move f6. So, for example, if knight f6, then we go boom, 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 and we're not completely done. That's my guess, right? Also, if he goes knight d3, well, worst case scenario, we'll just give him a check and then hit him. Now f6, it's obviously very spicy, but the key thing to understand is you are in danger. You are in danger of just getting crisp right away, because once he figures out that his rook belongs on the e file and figures out he just needs to play a move like f6, you no puedo mover anymore, right? So here we go. Queen d3, rook a e8. Why aren't we playing f6 here? He should be playing f6, not rook a e8. Look, you got this move here. But bam, we can shake it up. Shake it up, baby, now twist and shout. Come on, baby. Now that guy's your destroyer, the F-pawn. Federico, the F-pawn. He's been sitting there talking to you, Andrew. How come I'm not going up? Put me in, coach. Put me in. This seems insane. All right. So he plays rook e7, still not understanding that you have f6. What's the simple way for black to play? Very simple. You go f6, and then you double. You put your queen, at some point, you try to get your queen in there, like e7. You're going to get your queen in a variety of ways, either here or here. You know, black is doing great with that big fatty knight. Yeah. Okay, rook e7, poor move. Bam! You needed encouragement, Andrew. I think that's the lesson here that I'm getting from you. You needed a little encouragement for him to play f6. Oh, yeah, this is going to get spicy now. Good. King g8. Oh, you got him running. Now, you took on e6. And you're right. I traded because I felt I'd either be left with the better rook or make his king vulnerable as my own. And you miss rook h6. Dang. Go look at your time status. You got, about move 25, you got 30 minutes left. I'm looking at the left-hand side when you just look below the board. But yeah, you should also, the thing about rook e6 is you should say to yourself, this guy is just completely moving too fast. He's got to be hanging stuff. What does he let me do to him with f6? By the way, when you move so fast like this guy and you get a rating of 492, Dojo time management rating, yes, something terrible is happening to you. So this is definitely a big question mark. Okay, it is true that your rook is very proud. We'll give him a little bit of that. Rook e8, mistake. Thank you. Thank you. Good. Now we're in an interesting endgame. This one will be hard to win because the knight is going to still be very tricky. Queen e7. c4. Now c4 scares the bejesus out of me because queen h4 is possible. Also, you're inviting queen b4. Now, I just want to stress, like I said before, that knight is really strong. And this is actually a pretty difficult momentito here, and you spent 6 minutes. This is a difficult moment, no doubt. Yeah, I'm scared. So, it's interesting, even though you're up a pawn, you're the one that has a little bit more drama to answer for. The other thing, Andrew, is important here is variations. We would like to see more variations here from you. We need an idea in particular for how to get counterplay against the white king, the black king. You guys, I gotta take a quick break. I'll be right back.
Welcome to the dojo. Check out Joe, he's a Reddit bro, likes to edit posts, and he starts to glow when he gets the most of votes or likes. Yeah, he's really hyped, really psyched, cause the crowd is really tight and the work is really light. His training plan is the first thing your eyes see, cause he got more follows than my boy Eric Geisy. Opinions on Magnus, Hans, and Karyakin, who cheated who, which engine that he hacking. He got blocked by short, ignored by Dvorak, but he can't be wrong. He scored a like from Truong. He's got lightning attacks on GM, blunders and gaffes. True, not over the board, it's only the other chap. Still, his 7-year plan ensures the last laugh. Distractions detract from any actual actions. Excuses are useless, he rues his inaction. Awaits satisfaction, the status of Magnus. He bought 50 books and opened up 10. Fools ought to read Psalms, not my system. He's got 30 alt accounts on every site around. Chessable courses keep looking cheaper by the pound. He got 22 databases and 36 engines, 25 chess sets, and a massive clock collection. He bought merch from Gotham, Bra and Naka, but his game history looked like some chess copy pasta. A GM coach that he don't listen to, and if you think it is, then yes, my friend, yes, this is you. But that all changed one bright sunny day when a friend said, hey, don't you know? Welcome to the dojo, it's good to grow. Welcome to the dojo, I gave up on the easy. Sweatwork's what we need, G. Sweatwork's what I believe. Waiting's what I'll...
So one of the things we can say about a position like this is we're all going to end up here, where it's very technical all of a sudden and not easy at all to figure out what to do. I got a thing in YouTube telling me not to forget about King's Ambit's game. I haven't. That's on my agenda. So, there I was thinking how hard chess is in positions like this, and I was thinking about it sitting on the pot. And even if, Andrew, I guess the point I want to make is even if you didn't see it a way to consolidate the position in the game, this is the position in the notes where we got to be like, okay, after C4, we're allowing B4, let me put this, C4, we're allowing these two hits, which both look devastating, right? So instead, we should look for something else. And I came up, it looks ugly, but I came up with bishop C1. And if, obviously guarding this square, and if here, now the bishop isn't hit, and now I play queen e3. And maybe I can play for an advantage. I got that extra pawn, right? It's still frightening. Honestly, b5 looks like a hell of a drug for black. But the game's going to go on. Even if it gets a4, it's not going to be so easy to achieve a3. In any case, that's not the point. The point is we cannot let the queen in, right? C4, we're letting the queen in. Queen h4 looks very strong. Queen b4, cd. Check to the miserable king. Yeah, he's not thinking. He's not thinking. Queen f1. This is what they get. Queen g3. Wait, why would queen e1 secure the draw, though? Because look, he goes queen e1, and you can play king g2. Yeah, that's not... No draw. No draw. No draw for you, buddy. Okay, so he took. Oh, madness. And then this should be a winning position, but it's still very hot. Right. Now, our issue is obvious. That the guy can go take our a pawn, but you say, hey, I can go take your a pawn too. He plays quickly. And now he again plays too quickly. He should consider b5. I don't think it works because of ab, a4, b6. But that's something he would need at least more than 5 seconds to consider. Good. b6. I think he's just making random threats. I'm going to go ahead and say I know it. And you talk about bishop d2 being better. Now, this is a great practice situation. It's going to be very difficult to win this game, but we should believe in ourselves here. The fundamental grief is it's difficult to deal with knights, but also like us actually making progress on the king will be difficult. Good. Okay, that's probably fine. Good. Good. Doesn't make sense to me. Yeah. So he just allowed you to get that pawn and get ready for g5 too. Okay. Key moment. You played bishop e7. Looks fine. That's probably not it. c3. I don't like that. Using a tempo to get the c pawn out of the forking distance of the knight. Okay. In general, I don't want to move the pawns, but I guess I understand what you're doing. A real basic move could be bishop g5, king here, and then we've also cut the knight this way. And it's very difficult for him to do anything. Yeah. Okay, but c3, king g7, no one knows why, g5. And black resigned here. Who was this guy? What's going on with this guy? Now, I've resigned in some lost positions, but this, you don't resign here, buddy. He's resigning because he's not having fun. That's why he's resigning. Come on, buddy. What are you doing? The more I look at it, I do think it is lost, but, come on. What are you doing? Havana asks, can I get a review of graduating if I'm using the free version? No. Also, I was wondering, is it worth annotating old games? You could. It's not the worst, but definitely use your next classical game. Okay, Andrew. This was amazing, and I've been forgetting to hit mark reviewed on these things. Oh. So, great game, and one of the things actually I learned myself from looking at some of Andrew's games was that one of the stumbling blocks he's having is the knowledge of how to play certain types of positions. So, for example, in this game, he had the advantage of knowing that a4 was a reasonable move. After that, he had a lot of consternation about how to play the position, right? And his opponent did too. So, for example, more experience will show that the knight b6 is always generally the wrong square. It's either hanging out on d7 to guard the e5 point, or it's going to c5 someday. On b6, it's just not doing it. But he didn't know that, right? And so there's like positional knowledge that comes into play in these situations. It doesn't decide the game, but it makes it notably easier, and it makes the situation on the clock a lot easier to deal with as well. Am I calling people Nazis? I don't know. I don't know if we remember the Nazi. I don't know if I remember the Nazi. All right, Andrew, congratulations. Next up, we have Haskell. Haskell says, this one, had a really good tournament, gained 125 points. I'll be more engaged going forward. That's what happens when you gain 125 points. You start being more engaged. I wonder how Gukesh is going to feel. Is he going to disengage after castling long today? Dang. Okay, so Haskell has not been very active. Maybe after he's won his tournament, he has. SF Bay Area, great. Did he put some of his games up? He's got at least one. Let's click on this. So, these are kind of ancient games, though. These are from March. So, Haskell, what I hope you can do is be more active, put some stuff up on here, and get us a more recent game. Okay, great, Haskell. Glad that you won the tournament, though. That's super cool. Next up, we have Skay. Skay says, just trusted the program, but use some books you recommended, like Art of Attack and also 45 middle game themes. Okay, beautiful. Adult learner aus Deutschland, just try to take the program seriously. That's a European spelling of program. That's okay. Still learning to annotate games. Great. You can see he joined a while back, but just started logging his business here on the dojo. Okay, let's take a look. He's got the Deutschland dojo. We got some games. Just started looking at it. one thing I've definitely noticed about German players, maybe in particular, is they are doing OTB ratings more than other players. And part of it is like he's got a club, and the German clubs are so cool. I played in Vienheim back in the day, and beautiful, beautiful structure. You know, going from very beginning players all the way up, in some cases, to a professional team. And some clubs are super small, some are big, yada yada, right? Okay, so we're going to first look at the time. Who doesn't have time? Again, you can put the time in. It's very helpful both during the game and after to know what's going on with your time. We'll go game review here. So this is Marvin. So far, so good. A3. So I'm not a huge fan of A3. I don't really get it. I think the simplest thing to do, the thing I do in my course, I have a course on Chessable about this very position, is just to achieve the attacking structure, knight f3, bishop d3, castles. White is doing good. I don't understand what a3 does, though. It feels like a tempo loss. Queen g4, g6. Okay. It's true that I guess maybe the narrative that we can spin here is to say, well, a3 threatens b4, and therefore if bishop c5 we'll have queen g4 with a little juice. Maybe. Black should consider knight c6 first, too. Okay, I do like this position for white, knight f3, queen b6. And here he just says, I don't care. He doesn't care. But shouldn't we maybe care? Here, bishop f2, king e2, and rook f1, looking at the f7 pawn is enough counterplay, but hard position tactical to play. Okay, I like what he's saying. Look what he's saying. He's like, I'm going to give up this pawn. I don't care. Let's just do a natural move for black. And I think he's right. This is dangerous. We're not done yet. Notice that knight g5 doesn't do it yet because of knight e5. But, you know, we could start messing with him here. This is definitely compensation. So that's fun. I think bishop d3 is a fun move. Black trusts him and says, no way I'm going to take that thing. And now I like white again. This is maybe too deep of a dive, but Nimzovich back in the day gave this great variation, which is reminiscent of what you're doing, of queen g4 here. And the idea was just to do a setup like this. And the engine hates it, of course. But the point is, like, we're going to strong point the e5 square. We have the juice on the king side, and we're doing great. And once you understand that this is very dangerous for black, then we can see that in your game, by comparison, especially if he can't take f2, we're going to say, oh, this is pretty cool. Good. And he's a sacrificial maniac. Some people would defend that pawn with maybe queen g3 or something. All right, here we go. Knight e5, queen e5, queen g7. That's true. Dang. Wow, that's some good analysis, Marvin. That is some very good analysis. Uh-huh. Yeah, that's great. If we can develop, we should. I really appreciate that, Marvin. You're doing well with this bishop f4 thing. Now maybe if I was black, I would say queen h5 here. I'd try to maybe live through that. Okay, but that's a different question. Okay, a6, queen g3. Passive move. Was afraid of h5 ideas. But normal development like bishop f4 and going forward would have been better. I agree, but it depends on if black finds the right move here. So I like this analysis, for example. Bishop f4, h5, queen g3. That's the same as, I love the arrows of the Nimzovich analysis from way back in the day. People did the exact kind of thing to him. So queen g3, f5, probably a good move. And maybe you missed f5, right? Maybe you missed it. Good move. You're still doing okay, but it really gives black some good lateral defense of his kingside position. EF, now that one I don't like. No, no, no. Here, black isn't going to get the exchange of the queens. He gets, he's up a pawn. All of the dreams. He gets to fix his knight on g8. So you talk about knight a4. You talk about h4. I like h4 would, let's call it the thematic move, right? That would be the thematic way of playing the position. Andrew, thank you for being here. So EF, definitely a mistake. Boom, boom, and now we're in trouble. B4, bishop d6, we'll call that standard. He could have moved it other places. Bishop f4, I like that. I like that move. So black in general does not want to trade off his dark square bishop, but he just did it. Castles, g3, good. b5, nah, I don't know. Good. There we go, Marvin. I like that. Nice dark square control. King g2. You say not a good move, actually did nothing. My rooks are screaming for a workout. Okay, I just want to say king g2 feels very natural to me. Because I think we want to like touch that pawn on h7. So there were some other moves I found you did I felt were controversial, but I like king g2. I'm not sure I like knight b3 though. Yeah, if you're going to play king g2, then you want to play a setup where we start with like rook h1, because that was the whole reason we did it, right? Make him think about g4, g5. Give him some questions, right? And you don't have to play g4 immediately. You can play king f3 first as an example. All right, so knight b3. I don't like that one. Now his bishop wants to get involved. I would go back to d4 here, by the way. f3. Okay. A little weird for me. And he goes for it. Good move. Bishop b7. I don't know. I don't understand that. King f2. I don't know what he's doing. Good move. Knight b3 back. Here I was clueless and a bit annoyed at myself that the whole knight c5 plan wasn't a real thing, or rather too slow. Okay. Well, let's spend a second here. You still have knight e6 here. You know, and I don't know exactly what's going on, but let's say rook e7, knight g5, we can go snip, snap, and then talk, talk over here, and who knows what's happening, right? So you weren't toast yet, but this knight b3, right, you're allowing knight c4, and I really don't want to take it. I really, really don't want to take it, because he could open his bishop. Now, taking with a rook is probably also pretty good, but taking this way is the French player's dream, because it's like, oh, he's free. The man is free. He's been dreaming about freedom this whole time. Rook c4, knight c5. Okay. Good move. Boom, 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 boom. I don't understand a lot of black's moves. You call yourself, you're mad at yourself, but he is losing his mind. Boom! Very nice, Marvin. Boom. So notice there, this would be really good in terms of annotation if we had the times. Because to me, it felt like both players ran out of energy in terms of investing ideas into the position, but especially black at the end. You know, I'm guessing, for example, if I saw the time graph, a lot of times we get to a simplified position that's not actually simple, like this one, and the time graph just kind of flatlines there, because they're like, don't know what to do, boss, don't know what to do, and everything is still at stake, right? Okay, very well done, Marvin. Happy to see you here at the dojo. 1600, 1700 is no joke. Oh, someday I'll go back to Germany, you know? Here we got Mom Jean's boy. Dude, I haven't seen Mom Jean's boy in a long time. What happened to Mom Jean's boy? Mom Jean's boy was around way back in the day, I remember. Mom Jean's boy. What happened, buddy? You haven't been logging your stuff, man? Mom Jean's boy was once very active, I remember. Yeah. We got some games, Mom Jean's? Nothing. That's very strange to me, you know? I'm gonna ask my boy, who's not Mom Jean's boy. Mom Jean's boy, what's going on? I remember you from way back. I mean, yeah, you graduated a bunch of times. You were making great progress. And I guess you graduated again. Maybe you're just kind of hanging around the edges of the dojo. All right. Skay, happy you're here. Yeah, you'll get it done. Next up, we have Tori. Let's go check out Tori. Canadian rating. As you can see, more and more people will use an OTB rating as we go up the ladder. Joined fairly recently, but you can see very active, doing a lot of tactics. Maybe not any games yet. We're going to see. All right, clubs. He'll probably join the Canadian dojo pretty soon. Games, we got Langley open. Let's look over here. No games. That's kind of strange. Let's go look Langley open. Nothing. So, Tori, I suspect you have intentions of putting this in there, but haven't done it yet. Welcome to the dojo. 1800, 1900, we got some great players in there. And let me actually just turn everyone onto this. We'll go round robin. And if I look now at the 1900, I know that we have some great players in here. The poet, Jason Stone King, is playing. So this is the wait list. And this will be the upcoming tournament. You can see there's this one ongoing, right? So super fun and hard fought tournaments here. These things are rough, you know. I mean, rough in a good way. And beautiful events to, if you don't have a good opportunity, especially to play OTB, to play those tournaments is really good. You know, they'll give you a post-mortem afterwards. People are usually pretty cool, maybe help you annotate the game. All right, that was Tori. Great. We have one more, and this is not Joel. And what is it? He said, I actually crossed 2,100 FIDE by working in a similar way as the dojo, but didn't really use the dojo until recently. Really have enjoyed working it so far. Can't wait to put in more work. All right, beautiful. Let's go over here. So, I am so happy when I see stronger players in the dojo, and we have plans afoot. We have plans afoot for bringing higher players into the dojo, and so super cool to see somebody as strong as not Joel use our interface here, and you can see he's logging a lot of games played. So that's very interesting, kind of curious. He's probably doing other things, but maybe just started logging his other stuff in here recently. That's my guess anyway. Let's see if we got some clubs. Nothing. Games. 1. Okay, great. So his name is Joel Vandev. Beautiful. Let's go take a look. This is going to be against a very strong opponent, a GM. And do we have times? We do. Check it out. Boom. So one of the things I want... Oh, wait. Let's just stay on the grad show. You guys can see the time here. One of the things to observe here is when we go up the ladder, the rating ladder, we won't see really as a habit the other side of the coin. Okay, so the very first 12 cohorts or so, the main problem you're going to see again and again is people moving too fast. When you get up to a stronger level like Joel here, we might see a problem like this, where he's actually using too much time and then gets burned on it. Right? Time pressure will catch up with everybody. And so the time management rating catches really both sides of it. both sides of that problem. Pooh Bear says, why do people think playing the French is reasonable? It's so boring. It's borderline unethical. I don't know why you think it's boring. I think the exchange variation can be boring, but that's white who decides that, my friend. That is not black who decides that. All right, here we go. D4. Okay. So he is doing something to kind of mess with you a little bit. You quickly play C5, which is a spicy variation. Yeah, so here we go. D5, knight E4, knight D2. I've never seen this. I haven't seen this. Woo, that's some real spice. That's some real spice. Wow. I've seen a bunch of different things. I've never seen knight D2. That's the kind of thing that's a computer showed, you know? Wow. All right, here we go. Knight G5, H4, and now knight E6. Okay, this makes sense to me. Now, one of the things we can say about the time graph, let me change the game view. One of the things that we can say about the time graph, the way this has gone down, is it was a huge practical advantage for white to get the opening right here, where is giving black some real questions. Now, for my situation, though, I don't know what black should have done, not yet, but I will say that this position seems very unpleasant here for black. And why? Because the only way I see of getting this guy out is to play G6. But of course, if I ever play G6, this pawn is waiting for me. It's kind of like that pawn right now doesn't have a great use, but the second G6 is played, he's going to whack me, man. Okay, so he immediately plays H5. And he's just on you. You know, I'm sure he could have done other things. It seems like just developing knight f3 probably was also fine. Okay, so H6 does seem poor because the point of H5 is not to push H6. It's to prevent G6. Yeah. So loss of tempo, and the line you give is knight C6, E3, F6. And we just want to say, white could have done a variety of other things besides this sample variation. But you can see the general problem is it's taking forever for black to do all this stuff to get his poor bishop out. Okay, so H6 looks poor. E3. Queen F3. Now, I think the reason he showed that variation is this is the plan of development that white's going to use in the game. Good. Good. Reasonable. And this is real spicy. Look at this one. A6. Bam! Welcome to the dojo. King D7. Bam! That's cold, man. That's cold. Wow, that's evil. Okay, so black plays the sad F6. Now I would say we're positionally lost, but, you know, white still has to come up with some stuff. Knight E2. Castles. Maybe A6, but let's give your move a chance. Knight C3, E6. Now, I don't know if these are the best moves that white played, but it's certainly true that white has to kind of mess with you, find a way to get at you. It seems very pleasant for white. I have not been looking at all the complications with A6 on every move. So, for example, he plays rook D2, and that to me says to me that he is confident with the move A6. Let me just see if I'm confident with the move A6. What dirty trick does white have here? So, Anybody have ideas here? How is white? I mean, black was also clearly afraid of something here. Rook D, there's something going on with Rook D2. Because he wouldn't play Rook D2 if A6 just kind of body slammed it. It might be Bishop A4. And then if B5, maybe we take it. There's a lot of questions being asked here, though. Okay, I'm going to say I can't, in my current state, I've been streaming all day. We've been covering Samarkand. I can't figure it out. Knight D4 is a very interesting move. Bishop takes, rook takes, and then you say you missed this move, Queen G4. Yeah, and now we're positionally in hell. Check to the queen. Yeah, like I said, unless we come up with something here, we're going to be strategically lost. And here's a very nice move. Look at this. Bam! Ooh, baby. Check. 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 Oh, no. For reasons not clear to me, it doesn't say mate, but it looks like mate. Oh, he's got, excuse me. He can take on B5. It'll be mate soon thereafter, though. Okay, so that was an amazing game played by White, showing the power of what happens when you can surprise your opponent in a positive way, like this H4. And I feel like I learned something there. I feel like the annotations, there were several times like you could have played A6 in that position that maybe you're toast or something, but I just didn't see it, you know. I didn't see it. It's a very interesting compensation because it's really long-term. And I think also, I wasn't completely convinced by the way White played it. I think he could have set up his pieces in a variety of other ways as well. Would have made sense to me, for example, to put the bishop on c4, because on c4 we kind of make it difficult for black to achieve this thing here. Yeah. Okay, beautiful stuff. And now, my friends, we're going to do something. We are going to look at a game that was submitted for Sensei review. So let's see if I can find it. I think I go full database. And then here we go, Sensei Game Review Q, ba-bam. And this is from King Ambit. Let me put the grad show interface here. So we're just gonna do a quick review of this game. First, we're gonna check the time usage. Ooh, King Ambit. King Ambit is also known as Smeargle the Goat. I keep doing this wrong. Let's go over this way. And as you can see, we talked a little bit about time usage at this level. Right? First 12, 14 cohorts, we're going to see this is the primary problem in people's chess, is that they move too fast and aren't able to sink into the position. Right? Okay, so probably takeaway number one for Smeargle the Goat. All right, let's go to the game review. I'm going to mark this as reviewed. Okay. Very spicy, bishop c4. All right. Castles. Excuse me, knight e4, castles. And now bishop c5. My just general sense is black is more than fine after d5. I think that's why you generally don't let him take on e4. Okay, bishop c5. Okay, yeah, you have this as a variation, but play bishop c5. d3. Now, interesting momentito. What do? We have knight back. We have also knight d6, which would be kind of weird. and d5. You also have knight f2. Okay, so you give a long analysis here. Let's look at this. d5, snip, snop. And this one's hard to believe because he could snip and snock and snook. Now, maybe you're still okay. You go bishop e6, holding your coconuts. Yeah. So there's that thing. That's definitely one variation to consider. And then there's also this one. And honestly, I like black here too. Just like, I'm going to bully him in the center with the pawns. They're coming forward in the near future. So you go back. Let's call that the safe move. But now he's going to probably hit you with d4 someday. d6, oh no. I'm embarrassed to say I didn't even see that my f-pawn was double attack until I moved. So let's go back. Boom. It's about the time. The time is so critical here, and you play d6 in 5 seconds, right? So this is where the game is being decided. All right, d6, knight f7, bishop g4. Okay. He plays queen g4, and that makes 0 sense to me. So you talk a little bit about rook e1, but why, if I play queen e1 and then take his rook, like queen e1, queen e7, and then take his rook, aren't I just up a lot of stuff? Because now queen g4, knight d8, king d8, well, you're only down a pawn, and you're talking to f2. Totally different situation. So one thing, King's Gambit, I want to stress is, in addition to moving slower, it would be great if you could look at some more of the options in the game. For example, here on bishop g4, like queen e1, we should at least look at it. Even queen d2 looks also winning. All right, so he loses his mind, and now he gives you a check. Good. King d7, I like that. h3. Now, you have a choice to play knight f2, and you should at least consider it. So knight e5 is played, but knight f2, rook f8. Now he must find this move, bishop h4. And maybe we got nothing, okay? But we should at least look at this variation. All right, knight e5. Good. Knight d4. Okay, I respect knight d4. That's good. Knight d2. Good, the guy's developing. Okay. Snip. A, B, bishop b6. And now d4. And this was kind of like my fear going back several moves, is that your bishop on b6 is going to be shut out of the game. So let's go back a little bit. And on knight d2, we should say that we should consider a move that's not knight takes b3, like maybe a5, something like that. Because bishop b6 doesn't change too much. And this is a good positional move, d4. Knight g6. And g3, unnecessary. What do you, like, if your knight was threatening to go here, I'd get it, but he's not. So g3, d5, excellent. Fix their center pawn on a dark square. Apparently not even in the top 5 moves, but I like it. Okay, I'm okay with d5. It's hard for black to find a plan. C6, okay. C5, probably poor. Now you fix your bishop. Good. Remember, I was saying the value of him playing d4 was that your bishop was bad, and now we just fixed it. F4, frisky. I don't know if I like it. Yeah, give that bishop a check. Give that bishop a check. Okay, h5. Knight e7. You could consider bishop takes g3. a6, a little slow. Good move. You're trying to fix the knight. Now he should probably play g5. He does not. Good move. Knight f6, fixing your bad piece. King f3, rook h8. We're trying to get active. Good. He should be thinking about g5. He plays here first. Fine. Oh, he's playing good chess. Bishop a5. Okay. Okay, good. Now he plays knight b1, and that's an interesting situation. Yeah, it's very true that if you get knight e4, and we actually had an earlier knight e4. I think that was Andrew Wiese's game with knight e4. And here it's actually a very similar situation where the knight's going to come in with good play. So I like that. And g5, we take, check, and we hold the position. All right. Knight b1, that looks ugly. Bring that knight in. Okay, good move. Bishop d8. I think rook e7 makes sense. And he should be probably taking the pawn. He blunders, and then you got him. Yeah, got him. Bishop g5 check. Oh, okay, rook e2. I would want to play bishop g5 just to make sure those pawns never move, but you're doing great. Good. Good. Easy chess. Snip it. There we go. Snip it. Checkmate. There we go, Smeargle the goat. There we go. Well done. Okay, so a couple takeaways here. King's Ambit, by the way, has been doing great. Let's go actually look at his... if I go... What are we doing here? Something I like to do is... Okay, there's no rows there, so we did that, but we got to go scoreboard, search users, and we say King Ambit. There he is. King's Ambit. I always say King's Ambit. He gets a little mad at me. He's like King Ambit. So he is a great dojoer. Look at the amazing work he's doing here, and he is crushing it. He's like he's a younger version of myself. He's lifting some weights, reading some stuff, doing the chess, doing some biking. Absolutely. Okay, so we want to point out that he is on a tear, and it's hard to progress after a little bit because now he's in the 1000s. It's no longer chump change, and what's going to be critical for him, what I noticed in those games, right, is that he's still hanging stuff. And so moving slower and not hanging stuff, very important. They go together. If you move slower, you will hang less stuff, right? And all of the stuff, or a lot of the stuff in the tactics, you should think of as not just learning how to do tactics, but just in terms of square visualization, getting better at that so you don't hang the stuff. Okay, my friends, that is it for me. Whew, it's been a long day. I am going to, let me make sure no one's talking at me here. I am going to be back tomorrow morning. We're having this amazing stream of Samarkand every morning. David Proust, I go like about 4 or 5 hours. David Proust has been going, dude, 7 hours. My eyes hurt already too much. I will also be back next Wednesday. So we'll be doing this same show again next Wednesday. And who are we going to rate? Let's rate somebody I don't really know. This is called Lonely Winter. Is his or her name. We're going to rate him. Whew, it's been a long day, my friends. But we started early for me. Started early. All right, we're going to rate. This has been the ChessDojo Training Program. If you want to go join the dojo, you can use code Samarkand. That's the name of the city in Uzbekistan where they're playing. Use that code and get 20% off the first month. I'll see you guys early tomorrow morning for our coverage of Samarkand. Bye.